Welcome back, and it's such an interesting afternoon. We spoke to a person who's actually doing community building and talking about giving back in many directions. We're going to be speaking to two gentlemen who have created something absolutely phenomenal. It's mind blowing just thinking about it. Our gentleman, Philani Zama, he's the founder of the girls' home, Graceland. He was once homeless and sleeping on the streets of Cape Town, but today Zama is helping others, and of course, he needs to help people and he needs to uplift them because he himself was empowered at some stage by a gentleman that found him in Cape Town on the streets. It's absolutely, his story is absolutely phenomenal. But then we can also tap into Marius, who's helped Zama reach out in a very different way to young girls. Of course, as we know, there's a certain time in the month where they miss out on school because they don't have access to sanitaries, and it creates a huge problem because their sense of education is lost there during that month, every single week within that month. So they're going to be speaking to us about how they've built up these people. But Philani's story is also absolutely phenomenal. So we're going to start with the two of them and build up this story that I think is going to really entice you to want to help them out, move into a higher level of having to give back. A very good afternoon to you two, gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us in the mid-afternoon show with myself, Nafisa Dangle.
Hi, good day. Thank you.
Lovely seeing you guys. I'm actually absolutely blown away to see guys like yourself, and I'm going to say guys because to get involved with such an amazing and phenomenal project. So we're going to start with you, Philani, because then Marius can come in and explain how the whole thing works here. Your story is so absolutely phenomenal. I mean, being homeless on the streets, a lot of the times people in those spaces end up actually either, passing away from getting involved with the wrong things, or just dying from weather and climate and the types of challenges that they face in their lives. It's such I want to commend you on turning your life around in such an amazing way that you've become an inspiration to other people that are in that types of situations. So talk to us quickly a little bit about your journey and what it meant for you to turn your life around.
Um, there was a time that I actually didn't want to speak about it, but I then realized that it's actually not my story. It's everyone's story that they need to hear. It's the next hope for everyone that is on the streets. But anyway, long story short, I came down to Cape Town in 2009. My mom had financial issues and literally couldn't, put me to finish college. And then through all of that, I said to my mom, I've got family. I've got friends in Cape Town. I've got work. Meanwhile, I didn't have work. No, I didn't know anyone in Cape Town. And I landed up getting on a bus. There was I in Cape Town and trying to just find employment or work or whatever it is, because I needed to help back home.
Right.
So in the process, yes, I met a man by the name of Gert Kruger, who literally taught me everything I know about corporate finance today.
Wow.
And long story short, I landed up into the NPO sector and I found myself where I'm at. And I really needed, hence the organization is called Graceland, because it should be the land of grace, because someone gave me grace at some point in my life. And we find ourselves here.
That's absolutely amazing. It's nice to see success stories like this happening. But also from the Menstruation Foundation, the director, Marius Besson, absolutely amazing to see a gentleman like yourself wanting to turn women's lives around. And it's empowerment. That's literally what it is. So talk to us about how you decided to start the concept of veracity and take it forward, because I think it's so imperative for people to understand the importance of these girls missing out on school, not having access to a simple thing like a sanitary, which I think a lot of us take for granted.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yes, no, it's an interesting story. I'm a father myself of my daughter when she was 8, 2019. I thought I started thinking of doing an MPO and started giving back and assisting. And I called a good old friend of mine, Mr. Siv Ngezi. About 5 seconds into the conversation, Siv said he's in. Let's start the MPO and let's work in the menstruation space. Siv has actually been involved for quite a long time. We started 2019, fundraising and just giving pads to ladies in need. And then we were very fortunate enough during lockdown to partner up with Philani Zama from Graceland. And we really started making a big impact through girls, especially in the Western Cape. I mean, just to put in perspective, we've done 372,000 pads in the last 5 months alone in the sector. But we've also quickly realized that, you need a sustainable module because we are just throwing it down into this pit, basically, you can say. And that's why we came up with a sustainable solution called the Pad Vending Machine Project that we launched this week. Yes.
What does it mean for you? I mean, it's such an amazing initiative because this is something that I think from government level as well has been, talked to so many a times. People always pun on the fact that sanitary is a necessity. It's something that people should actually pun on and be interested in looking at, as opposed to giving out other things. Government should actually create a budget for something like this. And people like yourselves and Philani going out there and reaching out to those girls, I'm sure has made many a difference, because as we say, education, and I mean, our former late president Nelson Mandela also punted on the importance of education. And this is something that people don't realize the importance of, because these girls are actually missing out on that during that period of time.
Yeah, no, it's very important on exactly what you've said. So, we've quickly realized that there's a lot of NPOs and NGOs that does do fundraising and give pads out there, and there is a few government programs. But period poverty can only be fought in a whole when you really make it the front of your focus. And unfortunately, governments are doing that at this point of time. The countries is now starting like Scotland, New Zealand, Paris, France, that is now making sanitary products free. And that's why we say that if men were bleeding once a month, sanitary products would be free. That we feel very strongly about it. But,
I like how you say that. I think you couldn't have put that better, because I actually wanted to go into that to say, why is it that, the thing is, we need to understand the importance, not just that we're women, but the types of things that with these types of education the people are going to get, what they can go out there and do for the country as a whole and change the economy, is something that government needs to look at from a long-term point of view. And I'm sure, Philani, coming from your point of view with the situation you were in and how you had to turn your own life around, surely says a lot that people need to start. I mean, I just spoke to a community builder before I spoke to you guys, and I think it's absolutely important to understand that together and united we stand. We're going to create a better community, a better society, and we're going to start empowering people. And that's what it's all about, because sustainability does not happen without that empowerment.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite frank, we were moving along and we were doing the work that we are doing. But I think as an organization, we became more powerful when I met Marius and Menstruation Foundation. Actually, we became explosive. We're in a space where I think as two organizations have become one in a sense, but we're doing far much more. And I think that's the key critical point, is that I remember Marius saying to me, stronger together. And I think as much as our main mandate would have been young girls transitioning out of care and youth care centers, but it wasn't that we couldn't take on period poverty, because we were already dealing with young women, and it made Old Graceland become holistic from a partnership point of view, but also from a impact point of view. We don't talk numbers, we talk impact for us.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important, is creating. Oh, no, good to see you back, Marius. We lost you there for a second. And I think it's important to be able to create these impacts in especially the rural areas. I think have been neglected in many senses, and this is what I was speaking to my community builder a few minutes ago. I'm sure you gentlemen would agree that it's so important to have to look at those types of environments and see how important it is for us to actually go and reach out there. I know there's an NPO as well in the Alex area that does that goes out there, defines the needs of the people, and then goes out and helps them. But I think that's a place where I had got a call out from one of the young ladies to say that they need help over that particular area. So maybe that's something to look at, and see how you can take that forward. If you'd like, I could always leave the details with my producer, and she can possibly get you in touch with a gentleman, and you can take it further. But this is what we determine on the show is how we can make differences to people and empower them and change their lives for the better. How important was this for you, having a daughter, Marius, to be able to know that you could reach out to other young women and of course, be a part of empowerment and education?
No, very much so. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a household where I was very open with my mother. So, menstruation was a thing that was part of life, and I only realized later in life that it's a very hush-hush thing. In some areas, it's a gross thing. People see it as gross. And I mean, it cooks my soul when people start making it out as not something that is about dignity. I mean, it's where we all come from. It's actually one of the most beautiful things in life. So it is very, very important that for me, to my daughter and my two sons, even see, that the work that they do in this field. And I'm become very passionate about it. And it's very important to keep our goals in school and make sure, even in the workplace, that productivity is up all the time. And that these females have access to something that is just as part of life. It should be there at all times.
Sure. Gentlemen, stay with me. We're going to go for a quick break. We'll be back in a second.
Cool.
Sure.
Paying the bills.
Gotta pay the bills. It's good to see you, bro.
Yes, it's been a long day, bro.
Yeah, it has been a long day.
Why is my bloody phone not charging?
Remember, don't swear.
It's a commercial break.
Yeah, but they can still hear you.
So can I.
Exactly.
No, it's fun. It's fun listening to you gentlemen, knowing that you're so lighthearted, but yet you're creating such impact. So I don't think the listeners can hear us, so it's fine. I think we're safe for now. But I'll punch you on when the red light comes on, because we really don't want them to hear.
Yeah.
Just let us know.
No, sure. I'm having a private conversation. You would like to touch on, just tell me quickly before we go on air, hey? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I said, if there's anything you'd like me to touch on when we go back on air, please let me know now.
I just think the biggest thing is that people need to understand maybe a bit about the vending machine, how it works, and what is the module around it.
I was going to actually go into that, because the thing is, I wanted to know how you get access to it, and if people want, of course, sponsor towards it or something to that effect. So, yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. We can talk about that.
Morris, she's just pleaded to say she wants to sponsor a machine.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. Well, every pack costs R1, man. Every R1 makes
I'm sorry,
a difference.
I didn't get you there. The mute button was on for a second, eh?
That's brilliant.
Okay, then we're going on air. We're going on air.
Okay, I'll go back to. Oh, my phone is on fire here.
Welcome back to Inspired Afternoons with myself, Davisa Dengo. Very interesting conversation. And, as we know, the month of Ramadan is all about giving, empowering, getting into that spiritual space. But, the Almighty and, of course, our beloved Prophet has taught us the importance of wanting to help each other and help people and create those support structures. And this is where these two very interesting gentlemen come in this afternoon. If you've just joined us, we have Philani Zama and Marius Basson. And they're creating this impact, of course, through the sanitary pad drive, which they do. And Pilani's, a gentleman who's suffered a lot, but the kind of challenges that he experiences is inspirational in the sense that he's taught us that irrespective of what you go through in your life, you can turn it around for the better. Marius, on the other hand, has taught us that having to give back in many directions is very important, and charity begins at home. By looking at his daughter, he's realized the types of gaps that needed to be bridged in our society and in the environment. So let's quickly go back to you, Marius. Before we left, we spoke about the Menstruation Foundation and, of course, the role you play as the director and how important it is for you. But let's talk about the machines, because I'm sure everybody's interested in wanting to know how to get a hold of it, of course, how it works, how the concept works, how would the student or the child at a school, maybe, for example, if somebody would like to donate the vending machine to the school, how would it work for the student to get a hold of that free sanitary?
Awesome, great stuff. Yeah, so very quickly to dial back, like I said, a lot of people or MPOs give sanitary pads and donate to school and all this, but it's not sustainable. It's a once-off. And unfortunately, there's also corruption in the system. So we started working the idea about 12 months ago of making a sustainable system, and then also that secures for the ladies to have access. So after a lot of prototypes and a lot of hard working, we came up with the first of its kind. And the reason why we say that first of its kind in Africa is because it's locally manufactured. It doesn't need electricity. It works in a token system, and the module works in a sense where the pads inside is free access to for the ladies, and it's a 12-month program. So we get corporates and funders and individuals to allocate funding towards these machines. And for that, like I said, allocation is for 12 months in advance. So it's a sustainable module, and the ladies of that school always have access. And we can obviously capture the data and everything around it. So it makes it such a great module. And if people want to get involved, there's obviously a lot of benefits for corporates in like a Section 18A certificate and the BBB status and all the nice things that goes with it. Also with our great bunch of ambassadors, from a marketing perspective, advertising perspective, there's a lot we can do around that. But yeah, they can just contact myself or Philani or mail me and to just find out more about the machine and how it works.
Is there a particular website that they could go back to?
Yeah, so menstruation.foundation is our website, and then Philani or Graceland.
It's graceland.org.za.
Perfect. So Philani, now coming back to you quickly. I know, of course, that you've created Graceland, found in Pinelands, up and running. There's a lot of extra added things that you need to be able to create a better place and a better space. Talk to us quickly about that.
So basically, it's a simple structure where we're in the space of giving a young person a stepping stone to become independent. Remember, these are young people that were in children's homes that were looked after by government because government was funding for them to be in the children's homes. So when now they get to the age of 18, they have to leave care. I mean, where do they go to? And they've got no parents. I mean, they are orphans after all. So they're kind of pushed out of the children's home because government stops funding. So for us, it's really, independence is very individual. So we don't have a lot of programs that are blanket. So for example, we don't have programs where we're like, okay, we're doing life skills. We need to determine what life skills is for Marius as it is for me, so that it's very individualized and not to waste anyone's time. But above all, I mean, it costs 80,000 Rand to have a young person for a year at Old Graceland. That means that at school, whatever they need, it's within that 80,000 Rand. And we have facility for up to 20 girls, but right now we have 12 purely based on funding. I mean, I get an email at least 4 emails a week of just young people, not even young people, as in organizations trying to apply. And I think the saddest thing is to come back and say, well, right now the funding is not there. But yes, typically we cannot avoid the funding and the money talks. But obviously we always welcome donations in kind and things like that. But ideally, there's certain things you cannot buy because you just need the money itself, because the young person, for example, goes to a certain college or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So I think it's important for us to actually make our viewers understand that they need to support our Graceland, because the thing is, it's giving that orphan a chance at a second life, a chance of becoming a somebody, should we say, in inverted commas, in the sense of making something out of themselves, but also in a dignified manner.
Yes.
And I mean, that's what you're offering them, of course, having gone through what you've gone through, making yourself, making others, I think, understand the situations that people face when they're out on the street is not one of the easiest things. And it's having to create that empathy and compassion for people to be able to give, to say it's a necessity. It's a necessity to give to these people so that we can change their lives for nothing but the better. Marius, I'm sure you would agree with me with that. I mean, Graceland's doing some amazing work with Philani. He's such a great inspiration and a role model to society, to show how, to showcase how he's literally changed his life around. And he's now giving back in many directions. And I'm sure you being a part of this whole, should we say, collaboration, I'm sure means a lot.
No, it really means a lot. I mean, not as that Philani and myself become very good partners, we're actually brothers in a very short space of time. And it's been an amazing journey. And also,
Marius, we seem to have lost you there. If you can try and reconnect with us. Coming back to you, Philani, I'm sure it's so nice to see that sync created between you and Marius. Absolutely amazing, wanting to go out there and make those differences together, but so selflessly. What has this meant for you, knowing that you could reach out in so many directions where you were once in a space where you couldn't even help yourself?
I mean, to be quite frank with you, I had to rally even my fiance as well, because when I think at the time I was working for the longest time, and then when I decided to start off for Graceland, I was working at the time. I told my fiance I've resigned from work, and she literally freaked out.
Oh no!
And what is more funny is that it was the week that she was supposed to tell her parents that, oh, I have a boyfriend. So you can only imagine the next question is, what does your boyfriend do? I had to really stomach the fact that this vision that I had, it took a lot out of my personal life. I won't lie. It took everything out of me. I lost everything in the process. But, every single year when the moment we started having young girls become independent, I kept going back to God. I'm like, actually, God, this is far much better than any amount of money. Because, I mean, also, I didn't even have a salary for the longest time, for over 5 or 6 years, funny enough.
Sure, that's a long time, eh?
And if it wasn't for the support structures of saying, okay, we can see the vision, we will support you from that angle, and we have Old Graceland today. And I remember at some point when I had a car and I finished paying it off in 2 years, because something inside of me kept saying, oh, I need to finish it off quite quickly. And then I did finish it off, and then I started off for Graceland. There was I now sleeping in my car, which is now not on the street, which was quite more comfortable.
You know what, Philani? Marius disappeared there, and you know what? I'm a bit worried. Must I tell you why? Because I thought he probably went to fetch a vending machine for me to buy.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
I was a
we
bit
don't
stressed
take
out
no
there
for
for
an
a minute.
answer.
I thought to myself, there we go. Can you see? It started already. So I think we all here at Salam Media are going to have to, at some point, dig very deep into our pockets to see how we can help in some way. Because
No,
that's
it's
where he
definitely.
disappeared. There was a motive behind it. See?
Well, now that you know us, you now need to buy a vending machine for somewhere.
Uh,
There is a community that you know that needs one. We all do. That we know a school that could, benefit from one. And so Morris and I don't take no for an answers. We guns blazing. We're all about impact. We're here to make sure that sanitary pads are free, not even just for the privileged, but even the non-privileged.
Right. Is it just the vending machine, or is it the sanitary pad and the vending machine that you're supplying together? Both.
Marias?
Okay, yeah. So the solution. Sorry about earlier. I think my youngest pulled out the Wi-Fi plug.
That's all right.
Um, yeah. So the big thing around this is that we believe in dignity in a sense of period poverty. So we've created a sanitary product vending machine. So we obviously pads is our number one focus, but we also do work with people for a menstrual cup. I mean, it's definitely the long term
The
solution
reason,
moving forward. But yeah,
yes, sorry, I'm butting there. The reason I asked that
that's fine.
question is because there's many people that I know that actually make the sanitaries for these young girls. So that's the reason why I was asking the question. Maybe they could look at then maybe building up some funds and buying the vending machine for you, and then obviously taking the sanitaries that they've created and putting it in there. So that's the reason why I asked the question: would you be doing both, or would you expect them to buy the vending machine?
Oh no, we work with everybody. I mean, like again, period poverty is our main focus. So we just want to make sure all the females out there have access. So we do work
Lovely.
with current companies in South Africa that makes locally made and compostable pads. We are looking at in the future with them to set up our own factories because the demand is so high.
I'm
To stop
you see, you pulled out that pad for a reason. Now let me explain something to you. I know quite a few NPOs already. I know of a lady. Wow, I know a lady that works with the company, and they actually make those sanitaries with machines that have come from overseas. So they empower people in the rural areas to actually make those sanitaries, where the corporates buy them and then in turn need to, of course, give them to the students. So what I'm going to do is post the show. I will actually give those details to you guys. So maybe you
Awesome.
can create some form of a collaboration, and we
Definitely.
can reach out
Yeah.
even further than we did before. So there we go. See, I did, of course, have to form some form of a purpose with you this afternoon. Philani, what message would you like to leave our viewers with as far as empowering is concerned? Of course, challenges. For me, it's important to know, for our guests to know, should we say, the importance of having to persevere and overcome those very difficult situations that you face in your life. For me, as I said before, you are definitely an inspiration.
Thank you. I've never thought of myself as an inspiration. I've always thought that I'm just Morris's brother. Um, um, I think that it's in the foundation of when I started off All Graceland, is that All Graceland belongs to the world. It belongs to South Africa. It's not mine. It's not Philani is not All Graceland. All Graceland is existing because I started something, but it belongs to the Morrises, the everyone, and so it can only work and be successful purely because society, the custodians of All Graceland and Menstruation Foundation are giving and are so basically all I'm saying is can society be the vehicle that they use in us for us to do the change? That is it.
Most definitely.
It's a simple, straightforward thing. I know many a times in the NPO sector we always think that people founded things and whatever. And all I'm saying is between All Graceland and Menstruation Foundation, we founded things, yes, but you guys are the custodians, the people that pay taxpayer the taxpayers, those are the people that are custodians to Old Graceland, and Menstruation Foundation. And so it can only work because people are impacting
Most definitely. I so
from
agree
the
with you.
monetary.
It's a united front. It's having to create that collaboration with each other and create this support structure where we as community, society, and a united South Africa go out there and make a difference. Marius, what does this mean for you, knowing that you've gotten involved with something that you probably thought was just the beginning of something that you learned from your daughter, but is now turned into something so valuable and meaningful as such?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I've been a businessman for over 20 years, and to my wife's shock, I said, "Listen, I'm going to go into the MPO sector permanently now." But she's also seen that the passion I've got for it. It's absolutely amazing to be able to give back, to get involved, and especially with the ladies from Graceland, to see that those 12 individuals and the work we do with them, and then the impact they have in the communities around it. I mean, working with those 12 girls has got the impact with thousands of ladies out there and people around them. You know, it's much more than going out and just giving, you know, hundreds of thousands of pads away or food passes, whatever the case may be. To really working with a small group and seeing the impact is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, you know, I think I'm so taken aback by the two of you. I think you've really turned us into an inspirational space to want to do something better. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And we're hoping that this showcase has allowed people to want to actually extend their hands out and help you guys move out even further to reach out to people in a better way. Thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
The pleasure was ours, and we wish you nothing but the best. That was Philani Zama and Marius Basson talking to us about the sanitary pads and, of course, his life and how he turned it around for the better, and then creating Graceland. We're going to go for a quick break. We'll be back with you in a sec with Ramadan around the world.